Ciao guys, Vincent van Nichten here. Um, I'm feeling very well. Hope you're feeling very well too, because the new Serie A season is upon us. Finally, it's always a big wait in the summer, but we've been very busy watching the transfer mercato unfold, of course. But Juventus are starting a new season, a very important season maybe in the club's history. So I've already done a Serie A season preview, but now I'm going to focus on Juventus, still my favorite club, of course, by doing a video preview on their new season. First, let's start a bit the feeling overall. Um, I feel there's a very positive vibe on Juventus because of their uh, very good summer. Of course, they've lost Pogba, they've lost Morata, almost forgot him um, with the Pogba drama unfolding. But they made great signings. They seem to look better or stronger as a team as a whole, despite losing a very good player like Pogba. But the quality and depth of their team looks better than last season, which was a very good season of them. Um, their confidence is very high. You see players talking about winning the Champions League or wanting to win the Champions League, which is a step forward from past years, in which there was much talk about winning the Serie A again, winning the Scudetto. There was a always vibe or talk about doing well in the Champions League, but now the new signings, all the new signings have said they've come to Juventus to win the Champions League or try to win the Champions League. So to me, that is a big sign that Juventus are back to being one of Europe's big five clubs, together with Barcelona, with Bayern, with Real Madrid, maybe Atletico Madrid or PSG, but Juventus is in the mix. So I'm very happy that the confidence, the true big confidence is back at Juventus and with their squad. And the Champions League talk is, of course, it creates expectations, but I don't think Juve fans should be disappointed because Juventus, if Juventus don't win the Champions League, I mean, it's still the most difficult trophy to win in European football. I believe Juventus has the squad to go very far in the competition, but you can't if they play well. But there's some unlucky game like against Bayern last season with an unlucky goal in the 92nd minute at Bayern, and they go down. Let's just celebrate that they were very well last season. Of course, you should always be disappointed if your club doesn't win something you want them to win, but you can't say Juventus have failed or didn't have a good season if they don't win the Champions League. If they win the Scudetto for a sixth time in a row, which would be a record, um, I believe Juventus have had a great season again. Um, but it's mainly the talk about the confidence about knowing that the squad is good enough to win the Champions League makes me very happy as a Juve fan, and gives me the confidence to go all out and celebrate about Juve, even if they don't win the Champions League. It's just the confidence is back, and that is a very good sign. Of course, about the Scudetto, um, we have to win it. The Scudetto is to be lost by Juventus at this point, but it's never easy. Serie A is never easy. Um, there could be bumps in the road, could be massive injuries, unlucky games with unlucky goals conceding. So it's not a given that that Juventus are going to win the Scudetto, but again, they should because they have the best team in Italy. Let's move on to the new signings. Of course, first as Higuain. He's been dubbed a fat player um, because he didn't look very fit when he made his debut against West Ham. Um, I believe he will be a substitute until he's fully fit, until he's 100%, because we have Mario Mandzukic, and Mandzukic plays very well in Juve's system, especially in the 3-5-2. He's very much in sync with Paulo Dybala. They find each other very well, very easily. He, the guy works hard. He wins a lot of aerial duels. He doesn't score a lot of goals, but he's very important with creating space for other players with here and there some important pass and assist here and there. So until Higuain proves he's better than Mandzukic, which isn't the point at this moment, which isn't the fact at this moment. I believe Mandzukic will start and Higuain will get his chance uh, coming off the bench. And until he's 100%, I don't think he will start. But of course, in the end, or running through the season, Higuain will probably get there and score a lot of goals, because now, in contrast to at Napoli, where he was the guy, of course he had Insigne, he had Hamsik and Callejon, which were also dangerous players, but at Juve you can't just focus on Higuain. He will have a rough or a tough time, because he will be guarded or defended a lot. Sometimes maybe with two defenders, but you just can't do that against Juventus because Dybala gets more space. If Piaka starts, or Cuadrado, if he comes coming from the midfield, you maybe get Pjanic, who gets more space because you're focusing on Higuain. So in the end, Higuain will be beneficial. Will be Juventus will benefit from playing Higuain, and he will score a lot of goals because he's just too good to not score a lot of goals at Juventus. I'm not sure he will be a top scorer. I believe Dybala will be Juventus top scorer, but Higuain will get to 20 goals at least, because he's out there to prove he's not a choker. Then Miralem Pjanic. Allegri said he can be the best in the world. I'm not sure I agree with that statement, but he could be one of the best players or midfielders in his position in the world, because he's very versatile. He can play as a regista, which could be his best position. But he could also play the 8, more box-to-box role. He can play the trequartista role as a true playmaker behind Dybala and Mandzukic or Higuain. He could take on the role and like I said, the regista could be his best role. He could be Juve's next Pirlo, but you have to put some complementary players around him to make him a very good regista, in my opinion, who could make him better, and because Pjanic isn't a great defender, so you have to put two. If Allegri is going to keep playing with 3 midfielders, you have to put 2 great defensive midfielders next to Pjanic to make him that top-notch regista. Because otherwise he has to run too much, he has to defend too much, and he's losing energy just by doing that. And that is not his strength. So he loses a lot of quality offensively if you ask him to defend too much. So we have to put 2 great defenders next to him to take on that role. But again, if Juventus have the players to do that, I believe a Pjanic, Marquinhos, Khedira midfield is very strong. With Khedira in a box-to-box role, Marquinhos somewhat more defensively around Pjanic is one of the best midfields in the world, in my opinion. But Pjanic can't do it alone in midfield. Marquinhos is injured. Khedira is very injury prone, so It will be a. I'm not sure if Pjanic is going to play a massively impressive season. Um, Juventus is a step up from Roma, um, but he has all the talent in the world to do it, and I hope he can do it. But it depends on other factors besides from his own skills. So then Dani Alves. Dani Alves, of course, adds a lot of quality on the right wing. He's an amazing crosser, which will help Juve's strikers. Um, he, I'm not sure I agree he's better than Lichtsteiner because I really like Stefan Lichtsteiner. I hope he stays at Juventus for until the end of his career because he is a really good runner. He's really good offensively. He's really good defensively also, and I believe Alves is defensively less impressive than Lichtsteiner. So I believe Lichtsteiner will get his opportunities to play because playing Alexandre on the left and Dani Alves on the right is a bit risky, especially if you're playing the 3-5-2. So I hope Lichtsteiner stays and gets his chances. But Alves, of course, is crossing wise, he's a really improvement. Um, and I believe Higuain and Mandzukic will, and I believe Juventus will score more headed goals just because he's crossing the balls like the best, like one of the best in the world. So the Benatia, he adds quality to the BBC, to Bonucci, Barzagli, Chiellini. I'm not sure he will play that much games. He also holds back Rugani's development, in my opinion. But he's a very good backup to have. He will play game. I believe he will play every game in the Copa. He could play some Champions League games in the group stages, maybe. But I don't think he will play 30, even 25 games this season. But he's, of course, he's a very good player to have. If Chiellini gets injured or Barzagli has to be rested, he could fill in immediately. And Marco Piaccia, I don't believe he will play very much because he's still very young. He has to learn a lot, but he has showed in preseason that he's a super talented player. He's got amazing pace, very technically skilled. He will be a star at one point in his career, hopefully at Juventus. He chose Juventus by his heart, which he also stated. He will get his chances, like of course, like Dybala, who had to last season had to work himself into the squad. Piaka will play his fair share of games, but you can't expect him to be a star or a starter immediately. Also, because we are not playing 4-3-3. Maybe we could, maybe Allegri could, but more on that in a moment. But if we're playing 3-5-2, I believe Piaka will be a substitute. He will be a very good substitute. But then again, he will play a good season. But let's give him time to adapt to Juventus, to a top club. He's coming from Dinamo Zagreb, so I believe next season he will be more important, and the next season when he's 25, I believe he will be a starter. But now let's give him time to develop, because he's got all the skills to become a very good player in at Juventus. And also one is, of course, is Mario Lemina. He looks to be a star in the making. I've said in a previous video that I believe he's a N'Golo Kante. Due to his defensive skills, he's very technically skilled also. He needs to improve his passing, which is a problem at this moment, but he's still very young. He could be very useful to rest Marquisio, but only if his passing improves. Of course, he has to play to learn how to pass like a Marquisio or like a Pjanic. But he's shown me that he's very valuable for Juventus. He will play a lot of games because there will be a lot of rotation in midfield, and he just has to show what he's made of, and he will probably do it. He will have a big season for Juve, I believe, and one of our key players maybe, or at least until Marquisio is back, he will be very important. Talking about tactics, in May, so a couple of months ago, I did an article on at juvefc.com, which of course is a very, very good site, about a possible lineup change for Juve. So I got to the history of the last 5 seasons, which lineups were used, and I got to this one in the 2011-2012 season. Antonio Conte played in Serie A 23 times the 4-3-3 lineup, 10 times 3-5-2, 5 times 4-4-2. 2012-2013 he changed it to 33 times the 3-5-2, 1 time 4-3-3, and 4 times he played 3-4-2-1. Then the 2013-2014 season, Conte played 38 times the 3-5-2. Then Allegri came in 2014-2015. He played 17 times the 3-5-2, 19 times 4-3-2-1, and then 1 time 4-3-3 and 1 time 4-4-2. And last season, Allegri got back to playing 26 times the 3-5-2, 7 times 4-3-2-1, 3 times 4-3-3, and 1 time 4-4-2. So Allegri has tried to adopt his favorite 4-3-2-1 or 4-3 and then some lineup in 2 seasons ago, but last season he reverted back more back to the 3-5-2. I believe the 3-5-2 will be the dominant lineup in Serie A again. It is an amazing lineup if you have got the players to play it, because it all starts with having 3 amazing center backs, and Juve have 3 amazing center backs, of course, with Bonucci, Barzagli, Chiellini. It gives you it's a very flexible system. You can play 3-5-2 in attack, even 3-3-4 in attack if you're really dominating, and in defense you can play 5-3-2. Of course, once again, you need to have the players to do it, so you also need to have a left back and a right back who can really run up and down the wing. You need to have a defensive midfielder, a more box-to-box midfielder, actually 2 box-to-box midfielder and 1 defensive midfielder who knows his role, who takes his defensive task very seriously, because otherwise you can't do it. And Conte proved it with Italy this summer, at Euro 2016, that if you can convince your players to play it, and every player takes his role seriously, that the 3-5-2 could be the most efficient lineup in football, in my opinion. So it has proven its success at Juventus with Allegri also. So I believe he will keep on playing it in Serie A. We also have the depth to play it if Allegri wants to rest Barzagli and Chiellini in Serie A in a game at Crotone or something, some other team, with all respect for Crotone, because it's fun to have them in Serie A. But if he wants to rest 2 guys like that, you can fill in with Benatia, with Rugani. If he wants to rest Marquisio, he can play Lemina. If he wants to rest Khedira, he can play Storaro. So Juve have the depth to rotate in Serie A but still play the 3-5-2 and be dominant. But in the Champions League in Europe, Juve got to the 2015 final by playing the 4-3 and then some, which was a 4-3-2-1. They also played the 4-5-1 against Bayern, which was maybe one of their best games of the season at Bayern. So I believe with a 4-man defense will be played, because the 3-5-2 has a weakness which could be exploited by teams who have very good offensive wingers, like Bayern, who have that with Robben, with Douglas Costa. You have Real Madrid, who have those wingers. With Ronaldo, Barcelona have those wingers. Of course, with Messi, with Neymar, and the 3-5-2. If an opposing team uses its offensive wingers very often and very well, the 3-5-2 is not the best system to play against those teams, which especially are the best teams in Europe, which is why Allegri could revert in the Champions League to a 4-man defense with 3 in front, and then a 3 in front, which would probably be Khedira, Marchisio, Pjanic, then a 1-2 in front, which could be Dybala, Piaca, and Mandzukic, or Dybala behind Higuain and Mandzukic, which gives more defensive stability against Europe's best teams, and which has proven to be very successful in Europe. So we could see a lot of tactical switches during the season, but I want to give one advice to Allegri. Just don't be afraid to play football. I'm not saying he hasn't done that, and with players saying that they want to win a Champions, they have come to Juve, they want to win a Champions League. They've all stated Juve's confidence, and I hope we can see that against the best teams. If we play Bayern or even Barcelona, I want Juve to not adapt to Barcelona. I want them to face Barcelona and say we are the best team and we are going to win this game. So I hope that happens. I'm confident it will happen. It's just something I want to give or say to Allegri if I see him or met him on the street. I just want to say, don't be afraid. Juventus, go out like Juventus is the best team in the world. That's all I want to say. I just wanted to say that. I could also like on tactics. There's also, for me personally, is a very good, which would be a very good lineup, is the 4-1-3-2 lineup, because we have the wingers to play it now with Piazza, with Dybala in midfield. You could play, if Cuadrado comes, it will be a very good lineup. My only issue with it is that we don't have a true ball winner like Juve had with Pepe Forino, with Antonio Conte, like there was Gattuso, Makalele, the ultimate ball winners in midfield. Unless of course we get a Matuidi from PSG. I believe that would be a very good lineup also in Serie A and in Champions League. But at the moment, with the current midfielders, I don't think we can play it, just because we don't have that athletic defensive ball winner in midfield. Then something about our rivals. The top contender for the Scudetto is AS Roma, especially after getting Bruno Perez, which is a very good deal for them. It also allows them to play Alessandro Florenzi more in midfield, where they also have Strootman and Golan. Perotti is there, El Shaarawy is there for a full season with Spalletti. They've added a lot of defensive quality also, and a very good goalkeeper in Alisson. So if there's one team that could beat Juventus, it will be AS Roma. Inter and Napoli will battle it out for the third spot, in my opinion. And I'm giving a little edge to Inter because they replaced Mancini with De Boer. They've added Candreva up front. They've added Banega on a free transfer, which is a Juve-like move by Inter. They've lost Jesus in defense, but Miranda is still there. Handanovic is still there. Kondogbia has a year of Serie A experience under his belt. Icardi is still there, so Inter could do pretty well this season. Napoli will suffer from Higuain, the Higuain loss, but they've added a lot of depth in my opinion. They've added Tonelli, Zielinski in midfield, Milik up front with Gabbiadini is decent in Serie A. So I believe they could fight Inter but eventually lose out, just because they are lacking this star striker. Then Fiorentina, Sassuolo, Lazio, Milan will be one of those 4 teams will be 5th. I believe it will be Fiorentina in that order. Fiorentina 5th, Lazio 6th, Sassuolo 6th, Lazio 7th, Milan 8th. On Milan, I believe they had a very bad summer. Of course, there was the Chinese takeover, but I don't think they've added enough talent to. They are going to almost play with the same team, except maybe Jose Sosa is going to play in midfield, maybe. But I don't think he's an upgrade on Cuca, Bertolacci, even Montolivo. Gomez could be decent next to Romagnoli, but still, I think Milan will struggle to get to Europe again, which is a pity for Serie A. But let's hope Milan get back to where they once were. But of course behind Juve. But for now, it's a pity to see them struggle. Now, to finish, where will Juve end up? I believe they will win the Scudetto because they have the most deep team in Serie A. I believe their second team could survive in Serie A. They are not going to win the Coppa Italia in my opinion, because they are just not focusing on it, and they should not focus on it. They've won it 2 times in a row, so I believe Roma will win it because they haven't won a trophy since winning the Coppa in 2008, which is 8 years ago. So I believe Roma will win it. Will they go far in the Champions League? It all depends on who they are facing, but they have all the ingredients to win it. They have all the players, the coaching, the tactics. They have all the ingredients to win it. So let's hope they do it. I believe we will see what Juve are made of. We could see what Juve are made of after 4 rounds in Serie A, because they play Fiorentina at home, then Lazio away, Sassuolo at home, and Inter away before playing Cagliari at home. If they start by winning 4 games, those first 4 games, they are looking, if they get like 12 points from those 4 games, Fiorentina, Lazio, Sassuolo, Inter, you can see that Juve will get to a very good start in Serie A. It will give them even more confidence, and in the ideal scenario they should almost seal the Scudetto by January, February, so they can really focus on the Champions League. Not saying they're going to do it, because once again Roma will be there. I believe Inter and Napoli will be there, but the faster they can wrap up Scudetto, the better for the Champions League, which eventually is the ultimate goal, and it would make me cry if they could win it. So there's that. I hope you liked the video. It's been 29 minutes, so it's a bit long, but Juve deserve hours of video on my YouTube channel. So let's hope they do well. And Forza Juve.